Good afternoon. Welcome everyone to this exciting webinar. We'll just give everybody a moment to get in and get settled, and then we'll kick things off in a couple of moments. All right. We're gonna get rolling here. I see lots of people are still rolling in, so we're gonna get started. But please welcome as you're joining. We're really excited that you're here for this Encircle AI preview of the future of restoration and workflows. My name's Leah Vucic. I am the Director of Product and Content Marketing here at Encircle. And this is a super exciting event. About a month ago, we kicked this AI conversation off by talking about our vision for AI in the restoration industry. And we promised a preview of what we're actually working on. And that's what we're here to do today. Super exciting. There's a lot of interest in this topic. We had over 1,200 restorers register for this session. And we know that a lot of those groups are teams of people who are watching together in one room. So that number is amazing, and we're so excited to share what we've been working so hard to bring to the market. Quick introductions. We've got Sean Coughlin, the Director of Product Management here at Encircle. He steers the ship on all of our features that we bring to market. We've got Cash. He is our Senior Product Manager. He leads our content squad, as well as some of our field tools that he's going to talk about today. And then we've got Mike Aho. He is our product manager for our water mitigation hydro product. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to disappear. I will be answering questions on the back end. These guys know if they see me appear, they're talking too much and we need to move on, and or we have a question that we need to answer. So over to you, Sean.
Perfect. Thanks, Leah. Super excited to be here today. I've done quite a few of these webinars, and like Leah said, we did our first AI one just over a month ago with huge reception. And the fact that we have well over 1,200 people registered for this shows the enthusiasm for kind of using technology to improve the restoration industry, and then how Encircle can achieve that. So let's kind of quickly look at our agenda for today. So I'm going to do a quick recap for those that attended the webinar at the end of September. Kind of at the end of it, my part, I gave kind of an overview of what our vision is of how AI can be used within restoration, kind of used within the Encircle functionality. So I'm going to do a summary of that. I'm going to talk about data security and privacy. It's really important to us since day one, and we're putting that into everything for AI as well. And then we have a list of 5 features that we're going to go through. I hinted at these at our last webinar. We're going to show you where we're at with each one of those features. We're really excited. We're enhancing the field documentation workflow. We're improving and enhancing the contents workflow. And we really believe we can transform kind of the scoping workflow with what we want to show you today. One thing I want to talk about is kind of the first question I think a lot of people are going to ask, like, hey, Sean, when are these features coming out? And I'll summarize kind of that for everyone right now. So right now, we've been working on the foundation for each of these technologies for the last year in our product. So understanding kind of the AI that exists, whether that's machine learning, LLM, photo reading, and data extraction from photos. And we've been working hard at understanding that technology and how we can apply it to the specific restoration use case. And now we're getting to the point where we're starting to develop the experience that we want to provide to you. And so we're going to be showing you the experience that we're going to be doing for each of these features. The goal is that throughout the first part of 2026, all of these features are going to be rolled out. The field documentation enhancements, they're going to be part of your Encircle subscription. So these are core workflows to you. And then the contents Packout and the scoping tool, once they're ready, you're going to be able to add those onto your Encircle subscription. The specific details, we're not going to get into them today. Once these features are ready, as usual, we're going to do more webinars and what's new webinars going into 2026, and we'll talk about the specifics of each of those features once they're ready. So let's move on. Let's kind of move on into what is our approach. And Encircle's philosophy from day one has always been about how can we help you become more efficient and effective in the field to do your jobs. And a core part of that job is documentation. And that's really where Encircle came out of. And kind of a thesis that we've always had is we want to kind of disruption without interruptions. We don't want to interrupt your workflows. And if we boil down the restoration workflow to something as simple as possible, this is kind of what we get. A job comes in, whether that's from a TPA, private job, direct carrier work, however you get the job, you need to meet the homeowner, meet that property owner. First thing you need to do is kind of assess and document what you see. Then you can kind of go out, produce the scope, understand the estimate. Then you do the work. And actually, this is kind of a cycle. As you do work, you may expose more things that need to be done. You need to document that. Does that affect your scope and estimate? Change it and kind of keep going until kind of that property has been restored to kind of pre-loss conditions. And this is kind of how we've approached it. And for the most part, Encircle has really been focusing on the documenting the loss and really helping you solve that, organizing the data into rooms, helping you generate reports, all that data, so then you can share that with whether that's the property owner, the homeowner, uh, third-party estimator, or an internal, national estimating desk, or share that with kind of an adjuster or a TPA to help prove and kind of show everything. So this is the generic workflow. What Encircle's been doing. What we want to do is continue, well, we're going to continue to do that in enhanced technology. And this is kind of this Encircle hourglass that we've talked about. And this has been our philosophy from the beginning, and we've now been able to expand it because of technologies like AI that are now available for us to take advantage of. So really what we're talking about is, what happens in the field is what happens. And, there's that proverb, you don't get paid for what you do, you get paid for what you document. So where Encircle comes in is allowing you to document kind of this unstructured information that you have in the field, whether that's photos and videos, 360 photos, notes, and then readings if you're doing mitigation. And previously with Encircle, we would allow you to take that and package it up into really nice reports that you can then share with people. What we want to do now is taking that to the next level, where as that data kind of gets funneled through our system, we can overlay AI, artificial intelligence, our experience in the industry, looking at standards, and help you then transform that data into more and more outputs. But what's critical is you are in the loop. You are in control of it. You decide when and what gets processed, and then you decide what you want to do with it afterwards. And we're going to help you take all this data, turn it into valuable information, and then allow you to put that into outputs. And for us, the first step that we're doing in terms of this really transformative spot is focusing on scoping as an output. But on the input side, as we're going to show you, is really how else can we improve those workflows. And we're going to walk you through that. So as I said, if we break down kind of the circle of restoration and the workflows, we've really driven home ease and accessibility to how we do photo documentation. And now with the new features that Mike and Cash and myself are going to show you, we're going to speed up and make that process even more efficient. And then more transformatively, taking all that information and being able to translate that into an actionable scope that you can then use to generate an estimate, figure out what you need and where you need to send your teams, understand how you need to communicate with other people, and have information that you can use to communicate that. And our belief is, with this enhanced technology, the time that you spend in this cycle on every job, we can help further reduce it and make it more efficient and let you do the things you need to do, which is helping the homeowner, helping that property owner get back to their lives, because they just had this catastrophe, and that's your job. And if we can add any technology that makes that smoother and makes that easier and faster for you, that's what we're going to do. And that's what we're going to show you here today. So the first thing, before we kind of get into that, I really want to clear the air on data and privacy and security. So as per our terms and conditions, this isn't changing given the fact that we're introducing AI into our app. You own your data. When you capture data, it is yours, and that's kind of what our terms and conditions are. Also, When we use AI, we are not taking your data and using it to train an LLM or train some external system. We look at the outputs that we create through the prompts and the technology that we've put together on top of AI to help us refine the outputs that come there. But we are not sending your data off to another company for them to mine. You own the data. We're not using it to train someone else's technology. The other important thing is you decide when it gets processed. So you're going to decide what data on a job you're going to pull in and put into your scope. You're going to decide what data, what video you want to summarize on our behalf, or what readings you want to be read. And Mike will walk you through that. And as always, from a security perspective, what we do is end-to-end data encryption. From the time you capture data on your phone to when it gets synced with the Encircle servers and shows up in our web app, all of that is encrypted. And when we use services that connect into the Encircle service, that is all encrypted as well. So we ensure that your data is protected and the privacy is there because you own it. And we really take that seriously here at Encircle. Let's move on to some of the exciting stuff. So the first field documentation feature that we're going to walk through, Cash is going to walk you through this, is video summarization. So Cash, you've been at Encircle almost 2 years now. You've done a lot of work within our app, improving a lot of things. Can you tell us kind of where have you taken or how are you applying AI to the work that you're doing for our customers?
Yes, of course. Thanks, Sean. So for video summary, I'm really, really excited to showcase this feature. If you just go to the next slide here. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, then you can really imagine how valuable a video can be. But videos can be long and they can be difficult to review in reports that already have a lot of data. And so this video summary feature transforms your Encircle videos into a documentation powerhouse. And it does it by generating transcripts for any videos created within Encircle. But more importantly, it takes that transcript and transforms it into a clear, formatted summary of the video content. It outlines key topics, discussion points, action items, and organizes all of it easily for you to review. And what's more, these summaries can then be converted into notes with a single click of a button, meaning that you can edit them afterwards and even include them in reports alongside the original video. And this is what I find so exciting about this feature is that it works not only with English, but it supports French and Spanish videos as well. So you can imagine for a team with multiple languages, it's possible for your team members to speak in the language they're most comfortable with, knowing that the insights and the summary generated from Encircle will be automatically translated. And so you can imagine the impact of this feature. Instead of taking notes manually in the field, you can opt to take a video, speak about what you're experiencing, and Encircle will do the work for you to format and summarize. I've heard this from folks in the field before, where not only is it difficult to fuss around with your phone's keyboard while on site, but sometimes if a homeowner is present, there's a negative view that your team members are just on their phone, even though they're doing real work. And this feature lets you document seamlessly, visibly, and professionally without missing anything that you might have missed just taking photos. So now I want to walk through what the experience is like actually using this feature. So if we just switch over here, I'll share my screen. Awesome. So this here we have is a video that you're taking in the field. This is kind of a
On the
small
main floor, the average
snippet.
moisture reduction rate, or MRR, in the living room area is 15% over the last 24 hours.
It's just a small snippet of a longer video just for the demo purposes, but we've processed the whole video through our AI to be able to create the summary. But you can see here Brandon is talking about general trends for readings and goes on ultimately to talk about the source of loss being a leak behind the fridge. And so once this video is completed and you're done, you'll actually be able to see here the opportunity to add a video title and then opt to generate a summary either in English or in French, because like I said, we support that automatic translation. So once the video is completed and it's been uploaded, you can see there, the summary is being processed in the background. Once the summary is completed, you'll get a notification saying that it's done, and you can either click the shortcut or you can click into the video to see the summary itself. When you're in the video, you can actually see the transcript attached directly to the video. So you can see the transcript here. But more excitingly, if you click into the summary section, you can actually review the video summary that's been generated automatically from the content. This really showcases how powerful this feature is. turning a simple video and audio into clear professional documentation. It's definitely going to be different depending on the data of the video itself, but you can see here in the summary, it's described the context of the video. It includes specific data points that were discussed, and it broke down the topics of the video into easy to follow subsections. And that's the exciting part, is that not only have you created this documentation, but with a single click of a button, you can convert the summary into a note so that it can work the same way as you've been doing your current documentation and integrate seamlessly with any of your reports or any of the workflows that you're currently already doing. So very quickly, I want to just showcase what this would be like using a Spanish video. So you can see here, we've got a video in Spanish.
A primera vista tenemos una pérdida de agua para.
And so once you've completed your video in Spanish, it's the same workflow. You complete the video and you can choose between generating the summary in English or in French. And then once the summary is completed, uploaded, and processed, you can immediately view the AI-generated summary in the selected language. So this is in English. And so you can see that every member of your team can now actively contribute to providing detailed field insights regardless of any of those language barriers. And Encircle will handle the rest to enable professional, clear documentation and really multiply the impact your team can have. And best of all, like I've shown you, this feature is integrated directly into your existing video creation workflow. So if you're already taking notes, this already immediately unlocks a treasure trove of field data without any extra effort on your part. So I'm super excited about the impact this feature will have. Back to you, Sean.
Perfect. Thank Cash. This is something we've been talking about for a long time, so it's exciting to see it out. Ethan just mentioned had a question like, what about Spanish? So as Cash said, I think the videos will take the Spanish input and we can convert it into French and English for those. And then actually, Jonah had a question around, are you doing voice notes? I'll talk about that in a second, Jonah. Don't worry, you're getting we're getting ahead of the game here a little bit. Great, perfect. Thank you very much, Cash. Let me take over sharing again. Screen share. Here we go. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so the next feature I want to talk about is kind of building off of actually what Cash and his team has been doing with video summarization is let's take that technology and can we apply more of it to just our note functionality in general. So what we want to do is very basically add in kind of what you expect to happen with AI kind of within a note. So we're going to offer features that allow you to kind of clean up and organize notes that you've provided, long notes. We can help improve spelling and grammar and formatting. If you have a long note, we can create action items out of it. If you were at our webinar earlier this month, we talked about kind of rich text fields that's coming out where you're able to format and add bullet points and checkboxes within a note. We're going to take advantage of that feature, leveraging AI. And then, similar to video summary, if you have a note in your app, we're going to allow you to translate that to English, Spanish, or French. So you'll be able to convert that. So again, just like video summary, the impact we're trying to do is saving you time in editing and reviewing, clarity and consistency across the teams, and really help you provide these professional notes that you want to add into your report. So let me just share the demo here. So I'll get back to the demo. There we go. So here in this note, this is kind of a fake note we have here where someone has kind of written basically a summary of what's been happening on the job. And in fact, Jonah, this one's for you. People don't tell anyone. We haven't really announced this yet, but we are working on kind of a voice note feature as well, where you can dictate into our app and we'll transcribe what you say directly into the note. Today, if on some of your smartphones, you can do that with the keyboard, but we're going to embed that directly into our notes. That's coming early next year as well. But once you have this note, so if you've spoken that in there or you've typed it in there, you'll be able to you'll have our AI sparkles. Basically on that note, you'll be able to click and choose what you'd like to do. So if you want to summarize this exactly like Cash just showed using that same technology, we'll be able to format and organize kind of that long note that you've provided into different sections that are kind of relevant to a summary within restoration. Or if you want, you can, let's fix grammar and speller and break out this giant note that I just spoke into paragraphs, add the appropriate punctuation and kind of fix some of that spelling. Thirdly, find action items. So if you just want to talk into your phone now or type into your phone, okay, team, we got to do this, this, and this in the kitchen, and then you can create a note in the bedroom, we have to do this, this, and this. We'll be able to translate that and provide you kind of the new tick boxes with our rich text notes, and you'll transform that note kind of into action items. And then lastly, if you have a note, like Cash said, if you have um, uh, your crew speaks many languages, they can and types many languages. If they're comfortable in Spanish or comfortable in French, they can type it, and then you can then translate to English, French, or Spanish, and then you have the ability of inserting it into the note either at the bottom or at the top. So I think these notes enhancements, like AI summary and everything that we've been talking about, is how can we help you in the field so you can just do the job of repairing the house and make documentation kind of even easier. So with that, we'll go back to the presentation. All right, now I'm going to hand it off to Mike to talk about moisture reading. So Mike's the guy on my team that's been focused on mitigation, particularly water mitigation with our hydro functionality. And Mike, I think over the last year, you and the team have really worked on improving the experience within hydro, specifically with readings, right? And what can we expect from you going forward?
Yeah, that's right. So we all know that taking readings is really a high effort, high volume thing that people do on the job. It takes a lot of time, and it's also highly subject to human error. And so in the past year or so, we've launched a few things that make it real foolproof to take some types of readings. So we launched the Tramex integration to make moisture content readings way easier with one click. And we also integrated with weather stations. So you can now take exterior readings just by tapping into the local weather station. And so now we're taking a little one step further to allow you to take any type of reading you want with just one click. So we've introduced what we're calling smart moisture readings. Now, what does that mean? So basically what that means is that just through snapping a photo, you're now able to get all this extra information just in one click. So we know that having a photo is key to having extra evidence when you're taking your readings. So now what we can do is we can snap that photo of your meter. We can scan all the readings that are on that screen that you've just taken a photo of and populate the fields and that feed your reports in Hydro. And so this automatically inputs all your data entries with no manual entry, and it works for all types of moisture readings using a digital meter. And so the impact of this is, well, we can eliminate all human error because now there is no manual input. So it's going to reduce the likelihood that you're going to make mistakes in the field and have to correct some of your data. And also, this is going to force people to take photos. So a lot of times we find that technicians, they might take readings or forget to take a photo, or they might take a photo and forget to input the readings. And now with just one click, you're getting all three of those data points. And so it's going to be much harder for any kind of reviewer to actually question your reports. Secondly, what it's going to do is it's going to improve the accuracy and consistency in all your reports. So if everyone is following the same process on every single reading, you're always going to get the same result. And if you're always getting the same result, all your reports are going to be consistently the same with the same results. And so it's going to be much harder to figure out, gaps in where your data might have gaps in your reports, and it's going to make it way more consistent for reviewers. And finally, it's really going to speed up the documentation of readings in the field. So basically right now, this isn't going to add any extra steps into your workflow. It's actually going to make things easier and probably less work to do. And in doing so, you're actually going to get more robust data into your reports for reviewers. So it's really going to be a big improvement, and it's a really new, intuitive way of capturing readings in the field. So what I can do now is I can show what this might look like, or what this does look like. And so if you're on the task list in Hydro, you guys are familiar with this page. Let's just say, let's take an affected area air reading. You click on that task, and the current state is what you would do is you would have your meter on the wall or the material or holding in your hand in this case, and you would just manually log in temperature and relative humidity. But with this new workflow, you just have to hit add meter photo. And in the background, what we're doing is we're figuring out what readings you're looking for based on the screen that you're on. And then you just simply snap the photo, and like magic, we are giving you both of those readings. So again, this is 3 data points that are going to be reported on with just one click. And then on top of that, we still calculate some extra little ratios that are helpful for you to assess what's going on in your job. Hit save, and it's as simple as that. So this is going to be a really intuitive improvement for taking readings in the field. And we think it's going to shave off hours of time and reduce a huge amount of manual errors. So with that, I will pass that over to Cash.
Well, before we get there, Mike, actually, a few people have asked this question. Does this work on any meter, or is it only specific meters, or do I have to specify a meter before
No,
it
so
starts
this
reading?
this will work on any kind of meter that is a digital screen. The meters that will not work on currently is going to be those dial meters, such as like a concrete meter that uses the traditional dial. We'll get there, but currently it does not work with those meters. But any digital meter, you won't have to specify, it'll just know what to take.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, I think that was the number one question coming in during that segment. Cool. Let me take over screen share again. And while I do that, there were a few questions that came up on the kind of note enhancement stuff that I'll briefly mention. So someone asked about check boxes, or does it just act as bullet points, kind of as we've shown in the past? It's an active tick box, so you can, once it's in your note, and you move into the edit form, you can check it and uncheck it. So that's great. So it'll be fully kind of interactive at that point. Okay, perfect. Cash. Someone also asked are we only doing stuff for mitigation? What about content? And the timing couldn't have been more
Very good
perfect for that
question.
question. Can I hand it over to you, Cash? Because you've been here for 2 years. Not only have you done a bunch of work on the field side, but I think you've been working on implementing some changes to our contents, and not just this feature, but kind of other things, right?
Yes, exactly. We've been doing a lot of work on the content side, and so this is why I'm kind of very excited to showcase some of the upcoming AI features for content specifically. So if we just go to the next slide here. Awesome. So this is a feature that I'm really looking forward to showcasing to you. Anyone that's done a Packout knows how tedious it is not only to box and pack up those items, but to then document and then add a description. I know at Encircle you've done a great job of making that field experience a lot more seamless, but this feature, AI descriptions, really brings it to the next level. As soon as you snap that first photo, an accurate, high-quality description will begin generating in the background. It runs while you work, so that means that you can continue to take notes, take additional photos, etc. And as soon as that description is completed, it'll show up right at the top of the view for you to review. Encircle's AI works for you to create a clear, searchable description, but it also pre-fills additional data like quantity, brand, and if it's visible, it can even read model or serial numbers. Any and all of this data being generated integrates seamlessly with your existing Encircle reports and workflows, so you don't have to change anything about the way that you work to immediately benefit from this feature. Now, over the course of a Packout, AI descriptions can save you hours from manual data entry, but this also helps you improve the accuracy of your descriptions and ultimately makes these items easier to track, identify, and search over the life cycle of an item. Now, if we go to the next slide here, I want to show you really quickly what makes Encircle's AI different. As you've heard before, we've tailor-made our solutions to be for the specific contents use case. Even for something as simple as a mustard bottle, which I'm sure many of you have dealt with when going through fridges at a site of loss, you can see here that if you process this image through a generic AI model, you'll get a description, but it's unfocused. And it would require you to edit it further to actually add something like this to a report. It doesn't have the professionalism or the focus that you'd need to actually save you time and energy. Now, Encircle's generated descriptions, they're clear, they're concise, and they're focused on the important information that would be useful for you for your end goal. Specific brand information, calling out clearly what the item is, identifying things like volume, weight, and size if it's available, being able to parse out the bunch of data that's on a label or kind of contextual on the object and figuring out exactly what's important for your use case. And the goal of these descriptions is really to make something that works and that you can add to a report without any extra work, review, or hassle. So now I'm going to share my screen and I'd love to show you kind of what this experience is like. So just give me 1 second. Awesome. So you can see here on the screen as I'm sharing that, imagine you're in the field, you're packing out items, and this is a very common use case here where you are packing out a homeowner's collection of books that you're documenting. So once you've taken the photo, with AI descriptions, as you've taken that first photo, the description automatically begins generating in the background. And as you can see, once it's completed, it's visible on the same screen for you to review as long as you're online. No extra buttons, no extra triggers. If you want to edit or change anything or add more details, you can still open the details pane and still be able to kind of complete the same workflow that you're used to with contents. And that's honestly the most exciting thing about this feature for me. Usually when I demo, I'd like to show all the new buttons, all the new workflows, but that's the magic of the AI descriptions feature. It just works. Encircle's AI does the work for you in the background so you can save time and focus on what needs to be done. As Sean mentioned, we've been working hard to make many enhancements to content's experience. So what you see here is actually the new contents view that'll be releasing soon. That's built from the ground up with this new AI description feature in mind. And you can see here with dispositions and boxes being sticky between items and are accessible anywhere within the camera flow. For a lot of items with this AI description feature, you won't even have to open the details page. Your workflow becomes snapping the photo, letting Encircle AI do the work, and then continuing on with the rest of the stuff that needs to be done on site. Like I mentioned, in the case of being offline, the description will be queued and will processed as soon as you reconnect to the network, so you can trust that this will work in any scenario. Now, I want to end off by showing just how powerful the item description is. It's not just blindly describing what's in an image, but it's contextualizing and identifying what's important. Now, I know this is simplified for the demo, but these are actual inputs and outputs from Encircle's AI for the descriptions. You can see for this book, for example, even though there's a lot of visual information on the cover, the description isolates the name of the book, identifies the author, correctly identifies that it's a paperback, and even highlights the color. But you can kind of see from this example, these are fairly straightforward examples of things that have clear labels. But where this AI shines is in items that are hard to identify in the field. And so what I'll do is I'll show you a couple side-by-sides of some examples that showcase just how powerful this feature actually is. So you can see in the side-by-side here that we have a device. And kind of at first glance, you can't really recognize what it is in the field. But you can see through the AI processing, it was able to not only recognize that this device is a CPAP device, but it's also able to pull out the specific brand details as well. So it's able to contextualize specifically what this device is. If we look at another example here, we can see that this is kind of a controller, but the AI is capable of identifying specifically that this is a PlayStation 5 DualSense wireless controller. So it's able to give you that much more detail, specificity, and accuracy when it comes to descriptions. And in terms of impact, this is huge. I've attended several packouts myself, and I can tell you there's a lot of times where you encounter an object and you can't just really figure out what it is. And this is especially true for teams that have a language barrier on site. So with this feature, every team member can contribute to the documentation efforts. And I've seen it before where only a few members sometimes are trained in descriptions and become a bottleneck. This not only fixes that, but it really simplifies your training requirements. I'll show you more examples. So you can see this is a rice cooker, and you can see the AI was able to recognize not only that this was a rice cooker by contextualizing the image, it's also able to take kind of the context of the buttons to identify that this is a rice cooker, this is branded by NutriBullet, and it's got a digital display. This is really interesting. You can see that it's processing a pair of shoes, and you can see here that it's able to identify a lot more detail than you think. This isn't simple OCR. Nowhere in this image, for example, is the word Under Armour, but the AI is actually able to not only read the logo, but identify the logo itself as the Under Armour logo and provide that information under brand. I'll show you another example, clothes. Clothes are a big example. The description identifies color, material, any images or decals. You can imagine how useful this is when the homeowner calls you asking for her husband's favorite shirt from his favorite show, and you have to search through a bunch of items that are just saved as shirt. And so this is able to give you that identification and that specificity that really, really helps. And lastly, decorations, cups, odd things in a household that are really hard to describe. This is an example of one of my favorite cups. It's shaped like a bird, but how many times in the field would you call this cup or mug? And so this feature not only saves you time, but increases the quality and professionalism when it comes to how items are documented and shows up in reports. So this not only gives more comfort to the homeowner, but as I've mentioned, it just makes it easier for you to find items over the life cycle of a claim. So overall, I think this is the kind of enhancement that really makes a big difference. Big impact, minimal change to your workflow. As Sean and Leah have said, disruption without interruption. It's not just about streamlining your content's experience, but it's really like having Encircle being another actively contributing member of your content's team. And I think that's really, really exciting. So that's all from me, Sean.
Perfect. Thanks, Cash. A lot of good kind of feedback and commentary in the chat. think there'll be a lot of excitement around this feature while we get it going. A lot of questions of does it work offline? And kind of as you said, we queue it up, and then as soon as everything is synced, that's when we'll start generating the name. So you can just continue to do your Packout rapidly, and then we'll provide those descriptions as soon as it gets connected to our servers.
Exactly.
So that's wonderful. All right. We're at 12:36, and kind of let's move on to AI Scope Builder. I want to be cognizant of everyone's time. So we really believe this kind of where we're heading, and as myself and Mike and Cash showed you, there's a lot of work we can do in the field around improving how we capture and document a job loss. And in fact, this is Encircle's backbone is documentation. We've pioneered the category of field documentation. We were one of the first, and continue to be the leader in terms of the mobile first approach. Right, your team works in the field. You have phones in your hand. We want to make sure the experience in the field is as easy and as smooth as possible, and that's kind of our value proposition. And everything that we've done and we've talked about is to enhance that and make it easier and more efficient for your team in the field to document what they need to do and move on and actually do the work that they need to do. And like I said, no one else sees the field kind of with Encircle, and by overlaying kind of our experience in the industry, talking with our customers, looking at kind of the standards and everything out there, we can overlay AI and make purpose-built AI solutions for our industry and improve the workflows that you do in the field. And now we want to take that and bring it to what do we do with this information? How do we take all this amazing data that you've gathered and you've collected and turn this into information that you can then use to, whether that's create an estimate, tell your team what to do, figure out what are the next steps on the job. Really, this is our goal kind of with the AI tool. And the first thing we want to do is kind of send out a poll for everyone. And really the question that we're putting out there is, how does your team usually determine the work that needs to be done on a mitigation job? So fill in the poll while you get time, and I'm going to kind of move on and start talking about the Encircle scope solution. So our scope tool, as I said, is really taking the data that is on the Encircle job and turning it into a ready to review scope kind of automatically for you. So taking your data, letting you select what you want to be part of the scope, and then producing this output for you to review. And that's critical. Things that we've talked about from the beginning is you are in control here. We are helping transform data into information and then allowing you to review it, to edit it, add more information as you need to, and then use that to help yourself do the job and do all the workflows that you need to do. So with our kind of purpose-built rule engine that we've done with AI, we take in your photos, and it's not just looking at the photo. We break down aspects of the photo, looking for materials, damage, water staining everywhere. We really analyze the complete depth of each of those photos. We take in dimensions, whether that's from floor plans, room sketches, or other means. We're able to read the dimensions that you add onto a job and translate that into our scope. This helps us understand the context. We understand the affected materials. And all of this is backed by logic driven by the IICRC standard. So validating everything that we output in our scope for you is kind of validated and backed by IICRC logic. And really the impact that we're trying to do is save hours on researching and drafting scopes. So the goal isn't to replace anyone, it's to let you use your time best way possible, which is we can do the research for you and present to you the data you put in, this is what the job looks like, and allow you to then add your own SOPs on top of it, add your own carrier rules into it if there's anything unique for the carrier for this particular job. Allows you to focus on that reviewing and validating the information versus the researching. And we believe this will speed up estimates, it can speed up approvals, and really overall efficiency, because it's something you can do on day one or day two or whenever you need to generate kind of the work that you're doing. So now let's look at the output. So what I'm going to do is show you, so this is one of our internal test jobs that we use. I'm going to show you how you don't necessarily need a lot of data to produce a full scope, but it's really important that the more information, the more of our features that you use, whether that's floor plan, setting up hydro and putting in readings and creating drawing chambers and identifying dimensions, um, creating rooms, adding notes to each of those rooms, adding an overall note. The more data we get, the richer and more full that scope is going to be when we produce it. So if we look at this job, it's very simple. It's a water loss. We have essentially one general note that outlines kind of the project details. So it's a water loss. This is an insurance job, so it kind of was phoned in that a washer overflowed and kind of impacted the laundry room itself, and then the basement, the underneath the laundry room. Kind of a bit of details from a content perspective or data within Encircle. We have 4 rooms that were produced. So we have a floor plan as well. Just let this load up. My internet is slow today. There we go. So we have a laundry room. Within the laundry room, we have, I think, 11 photos, a storage room, a rec room, and a hallway. And with that data, I'm going to be able to show you what we produce. But the first thing I want to do is quickly show you how you're going to actually be able to, oops, let me, so the actual process of creating a scope, it's going to be as simple as selecting the rooms that you want for your job, hitting generate, and then you're going to get a scope kind of within Encircle. And that scope is going to be formatted and is going to allow you to edit it. But really what we want to show you is what that actual scope looks like on a job. So I've done that here, taken this data and run it through our scope tool. So as I said in the beginning, we've been working on the foundation and the technology in the background, and now we're starting to work on bringing it into the app. And we've been working with a handful of customers to ensure that the data that we produce is very accurate against the job. And the ones that we've shown it to, they've been really, really excited about the job. So once you generate the scope, this is what it's going to look like. When we introduce this into the app, it's actually going to be an editable document. So you're going to be able to review it, remove lines, add lines, edit it yourself. But for now, we're able to produce kind of a PDF, and this is it. This is what we've done. So based on that one general note and about 30 photos on a job and a floor plan with dimensions, this is kind of 11-page scope that we've been able to produce. And we've broken this out into a variety of sections that to us makes a lot of sense and mirrors how you know, customers we've talked to and our experience in the industry, how scopes are laid out. So first and foremost, we give a quick overview of the timeline of the job, kind of the dates that were added into the claim. We have a quick summary of what the loss is. So what's the project information? What was the cause of loss? Is this a category 3 or 4? And all of this data is validated underneath, and I'll get to those details in a minute. The next part, which is really nice, is this project narrative. And what we feel is very important with this part is it's a paragraph or a bunch of paragraphs. So you're going to be able to take and kind of copy and paste this into a 24-hour report or share this with a TPA on that initial inspection of the job that kind of explains what happened on the loss, kind of the details of what needs to be done. So in this case, you can see it was a water damage event on October 26th. Mitigation work began on the 7th, which was based on the dates that were inputted in the job. To category 2, just from those photos and one notes, we can see that the affected area was kind of a washing machine overflowed and impacted the rec room. So it was really good summary of what's happened on the job. After that, we go a breakdown of our room by room summary. So in this case, there were 3 affected rooms. There was a laundry room, a storage room, and a recreation room. In each of these summaries, we reference the standards within the IRCRC to justify why it was affected and the work that needs to be done. Really providing valuable insight and again justification as to the work that needs to happen. Next, at a generic level, we pull in IICRC and have a reference section that talks about kind of the category, the class, and the next steps within mitigation in relation to the IICRC. So again, giving you detailed information to help you, explain why you need to do the things and justify it against kind of against the standards that exist that we work towards. The next thing that's really exciting is we now break this down into a room by room section. So the first is we have a kind of a summary for each of the rooms. Was the room affected? What was the damage summary? What are the dimensions that we've been able to pull from the information? The other thing is we're very clear about the assumptions that we're making. So if you provided dimensions, then we're going to use those dimensions as part of the scope. If they weren't provided, we're going to make some assumptions based on standard room dimensions, but then you're going to be able to edit that information afterwards. So really giving you a clear view of what's happening in each room. And I think what's really exciting, where it gets really real, is we break down the work that needs to be done in terms of the tasks. And again, these are recommendations that we have drawn out of all the data that you've provided in the scope, as well as kind of the leveraging the IRCRC standards and general practices. So making it very clear that the line items that need to be done have to work kind of within each room. So in this case, we have a 2-foot flood cut because we had photos that indicated that was what was needed to be done. We noticed in the laundry room that was a washing machine, a dryer. So having the line items to detach and reset those are really important, and we help capture all that. We added a safety section and an affected materials section for each of the rooms, which again break down kind of, help you understand what needs to happen on the job so you can then tell your teams kind of what to do in the field. And then we repeat this for every room. So what you'll see is here's a list for the laundry room, but that same list is unique for, in this case, the storage room, and then is unique as well for the basement rec room. So we're really customizing the details for every room and providing you a very quick summary within minutes of you generating this scope to get an overview of everything. And then lastly, once we've gone through each of the rooms, we do provide equipment recommendations. So what's really important here is, again, these are recommendations. We're leveraging the IICRC calculations. We're not on the site. AI isn't on the site. We're taking the information that you provided and leveraging that to calculate kind of what equipment do you need. And right now we're focused purely on kind of the core equipment that is used on jobs. So dehues, air scrubbers, and air movers. If you use things like Inject-A-Dry, the great thing about our scope is it's editable. Again, you can add on that to your scope. You can manually enter it in. The other thing that we pride ourselves on is kind of trust and transparency. So we provide the details of how we got to those calculations, leveraging the IRCRC S500. So being very open and transparent of why we picked those numbers and how we calculated those numbers for you. And if you didn't use Hydro, where you're able to set up drying chambers, we're going to intelligently group rooms by floor. So in this case, a main floor and a basement, to create these chambers and then provide you equipment recommendations against those different chambers. And we even can call out the fact that in this claim that you provided us, there was an unaffected room, and we call that out specifically. So that's why it wasn't referenced kind of anywhere else. So we really think this, the way we can transform this data that you've inputted very quickly and very easily in Encircle, and then within minutes create this fully flushed out scope. We're really excited for this. There's an opportunity for kind of a bit of a paradigm shift where very quickly on a job, you're able to understand exactly what needs to get done, and then you can tell your crews what to do, as well as kind of share that information with whoever you need to share that with. So that's kind of where we're at with the AI scope. We're really, really excited about it. We're going to put up another poll. So after seeing kind of this output that we're creating, we'd love to understand, how valuable you think this tool could be for your office. So with that, I think I'll turn it over. I think, Leah, you're going to come back and see if there's kind of any questions that we have from the audience.
Are there ever questions? I've been frantically typing in the background, trying to get to everyone's questions. So we've got about 5 minutes, 5 minutes left. So apologies if I haven't got to your questions. Typing your questions, and if we don't get to them now, we will get back in touch. There's a lot of very specific questions around workflow and can we do this and can we do that? As Sean mentioned, we've been really working on the foundational elements in the back end And now we're building the UI. So it's great to see all the things that you guys want to be incorporated. And we will, I say we, Sean and his team will take all of that feedback into account to make sure that we get this feature right. And if it's not exactly the way you want it right out of the gate, or if it doesn't do everything, you saw a lot of my responses, there's some winky faces. So like, we understand where the value is in this feature going forward, and where we're just getting started. That's the message is, what you're seeing today is just the start of the opportunities that present themselves. And Sean talked about the hourglass and all of the downstream impacts that we can make with AI, and we understand our customers. So thank you for all of your feedback. Okay, I feel like I kind of just need to like close my eyes and pick a question because there's so many. You talked about a lot of the questions around smart moisture meters have already been addressed. One of the questions, Sean, that came up is what AI are we leveraging on the back end for our AI solutions? If you're able to answer that.
Yeah, I'll get into that. I won't get into too many specifics. That's kind of our CTO drives that. But we leverage Microsoft Azure cloud services, and then through the Azure AI portal, we have an opportunity to use a variety of different third parties, whether that's ChatGPT from OpenAI or Claude from Anthropic. And part of our process is when we create our prompts, we actually test it against a variety of different solutions and make sure we pick the best one that works for kind of that output. A lot of what we've been working on, and Microsoft and OpenAI have a really close relationship, has been leveraging ChatGPT, but we have the ability to use a lot of different options that are out there.
A lot of questions around scoping, Sean. Some of the questions around floor plan. Is a floor plan necessary to run to use our scoping tool?
No, a floor plan is not necessary. In fact, if all you have is a general note or a note that has a bit of a description, we can take that and create kind of a scope for you. I think the thing that's important to note is the more information and more clear data that you provide us, the richer that scope is going to be. But if you don't do a floor plan, that's fine. If you make notes that mark down the dimensions, we'll be able to understand and extrapolate that information and apply it to the right section within the scope. Although we encourage everyone to use floor plan because I think that's to us, that's one of our first transformational features to help speed up the dimension process.
Will this work with only with new jobs, or would somebody be able to go back and do a scope with an old existing job?
Yeah, once we make this feature available, it'll be available kind of across all of your jobs. So there'll be a new tab on the web or a new section on mobile that you'll be able to go back and run existing jobs against and create a scope.
Great. We had a couple of questions around particular use cases for scoping. So we talked about mitigation. Will it be relevant to fire losses, rebuild, that sort of thing?
So for our kind of initial entry into this, we've really focused on mitigation jobs, specifically water mitigation jobs. So a specific, a content or rebuild one, that's kind of in the future. We're definitely going to expand our scoping features, but we're really focused kind of on that water mitigation scope at this point.
So thank you so much. We are at time. Thank you to Sean, Mike, and Cash for showing us the future of Encircle AI. And like I said, I think the theme we talk about disruption without interruption. So AI is a very disruptive technology, but restorers rely on their critical field workflows, and time is everything. And so we're looking to use AI to disrupt and make your workflows more efficient, but we don't want to interrupt the things that you're already doing and the processes that you already have. So super excited about this. Thank you everybody for attending, and we will see you at the next webinar. Thanks everyone.